Hey, Lucas.
Hello. You can't see me, can you?
No.
Yeah. I have a privacy thing that I sometimes forget to to disable.
Gotcha.
How you
Give
doing?
me just a quick second. I'm gonna put my son in the hall. Be right back.
Salut.
Hello.
Where are you based? Paris, north of France, south of France? I don't know. I was asking you, where are you based?
Sorry, I was switching between my headset and you mean right now or usually?
Usually, I mean usually.
I mean Nantes in France.
Nantes.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, cool.
The western part of France.
I think there was one music titled Nantes that I used to love.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did a connection. I'm not sure if it was there. I slept in the airport, waiting to come down to Lisbon.
You slept at the Nantes airport to come down to Lisbon. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, I would need to check it again. Anyway, yeah, I had a connection. I landed wherever it was. It was west of France. Yeah, so I landed there like at 11 p.m. and then I had a flight at 5 a.m. or 6. I left. I was just stayed there. Anyway, welcome everyone. Just allowing people in. Adam, great to have you. And we have Sebastian Tex. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Johnny may not make it, and Jurg will not make it.
So does that mean we have quorum, or I'm not sure what the rule is? Can you remind me?
Majority.
Simple majority.
9's typical. You have 5 voting members.
Yeah. So we got 4. One more makes quorum, quote unquote.
Mm.
And I have not heard anything from Philip or Niels. So
okay.
I did communicate the attendance thing piece though.
Mm-hmm.
How's Berlin been, Adam?
It was very hot while I was there.
Very hot. Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Berlin can be hot, but yeah.
Like it got up to like 91 freedom units.
No kidding. So it was like Arizona.
Yeah, it was actually hotter than it was at home in Arizona, in Berlin. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's going to be cold when the summit happens back come November, right? But so
the Germans have a solution for that, and it's called drink more beer, and then you can't feel cold anymore.
That's good. So yeah, just gonna start sharing my screen, although we don't have quorum yet.
I'll try pinging Elaine as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised she's not there. So like Christian was mentioning on the OSC journal, I'm starting to do this kind of just ticking the boxes, and Tex was already doing this in the minutes, going to Gitbook. But yeah, I just like to keep this view of who's been attending, participating. Obviously, it's subjective. It doesn't mean that you don't do things asynchronously or contribute more or less when you do come check in. So some people just come in and be on mute the whole call. It's all subjective, but it's just one way of doing it. And also, I'm continuing to do this kind of self check-ins to show you guys what I've done since our last call. So there's a number of calls that I need to go to, the ISC, there's the agenda set calls where you're always invited to come by. And there's these work sessions that we sometimes schedule on Mondays. I'm not sure if those are going to continue. Maybe even if they don't continue with the same topic, we may continue it with other work sessions that we have to do. And on the weeks that where we don't have these OSC official calls, we sometimes try to do optional ones, but they haven't been successful so far. So yeah, let's just see how it goes. Meanwhile, we have Jordan, who doesn't really help us make quorum, but welcome, Jordan. I noticed you were making a pun or a joke the other day on chat. Couldn't really respond because we were working, but thanks for being there. Guys, any thoughts? Should we wait? It's the best we can do, right? Should we progress without quorum? Or
Are there things we can discuss without quorum?
well, overall, I was
Does
just.
it make sense, or does it not make sense? And then
I think it's always good to use the time. By the
Yeah.
way, when we get to 15 minutes past the hour, I will need to pop out, as I said on Discord, because I'm going to hop into a ISC board call to give them a quick update on what we've been doing, and then I'll come back here at 30 minutes past the hour. Overall, we do have a number of things here to discuss, and like we've said on previous calls, I'm trying to make this Miro board our shared wall. Like if we were all co-working in the same building, we can just come to this board to see who's been doing what. This is the grooming of topics for today's call, and this is the sides or the line items in our budget. So we're trying to find people that champion or take the lead a bit more on each thing. And it doesn't invalidate that everyone else helps and keeps an eye on things. And also, when we do have pending actions, for example, there's a red one here, it's overdue for me. We stamp them with these kinds of little things that we can just alt drag from here. And so that's what this is. So if you sometimes feel you could help document or illustrate what we've been doing, please feel free to drag things around. And when you see things like this, for example, it's an action for all to please review this, and you can just jump on the document and leave some comments in there. Any thoughts on all this? I'm going to open ClickUp here because it's a simple view of our agenda for today. Christian, any sign of Elaine?
She has to travel because she had to leave Japan to come back.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, of course.
just remember that.
Yeah.
So
She did.
We're guaranteed.
Mhm. Well, if we're not going to make any votings or decisions, maybe we could just catch each other up on OSC things, and that's it.
Yeah. I don't think we need decision making per se today,
Okay.
based on the topics.
So I'll just crack on with especially this one, and then we could, I'll have to pop out. So if you guys could progress on these, I'm sure you can without me. So someone could share the Miro board or the ClickUp thing. I'll jump in, okay? So the budget committee has asked the technical steering committee to align with us regarding separating from all these approved budgets. All of these were the proposals that were approved by the ADA holders. And now there's a request from the budget committee that we split between TSC and OSC, and in terms of seeing who can do oversight on these proposals. We had a call over 1 week ago, I think even 2, where we were going around this, and I just jumped on and dropped some views here of what can be core or open source or something like that. Core or not core, I think was the ask at the time. And you have the link in the Miro board. As you saw, I just clicked it through here. So please jump on if you'd like to contribute. helping triage these. The main topic, though, of this contact that we had between OSC and TSC, it was me and Johnny. Not sure if Sebastian was there as well, and some members of the technical steering committee. The main point that we raised was, what does oversight mean? And this is something that could go from on one end of the spectrum, someone released something that's closed source, and like we have some of these that aren't even open source. So in those cases, the solution that was said to be delivered has been delivered, so we go ahead with the payment. But if we're not checking anything, we're almost like an administrative person from Intersect team or something, just making the payment, and that's it. On the other end of the spectrum, we get to a point where we say, okay, we've looked at what you delivered, and we don't consider it to be up to standard or expectations. And for that, we would need to be able to look into the code somehow, or at least have some checks on what's been done. And that's what I'm trying to define. So between the two extremes, where in one extreme we're just an administrative making payments, on the other extreme we won't have budget to review code. Yesterday I was in the budget task force call, and I bounced this off Lloyd, and Chris Bredd was there as well from Catalyst, and I think there was a Mark from IOG. I think he was also saying that at most we'll be doing delivery assurance type of thing. So making sure that things were delivered, not even looking at code or something like that. On the initial call, for example, I remember Arnaud mentioned that he's not going to learn ZK to look into what's being delivered, and he's right. And I think overall, I'm presenting to you sort of the problem that we're working on, and the solution is tending to be, okay, so it's just delivery assurance that we're going to do. I think that's all I can say to bring you up to speed on this. Thoughts?
Jordan made a comment. They're using Anastasia Labs for third-party technical auditing.
Yeah.
For Emma.
Yeah. So on my notes from yesterday, I made a note that I think it was Mark that said they will be doing some kind of hiring people to do a bit more technical reviews of things. I'm not sure exactly from what budget, but it wouldn't be the OSC members doing any technical reviews for sure.
So,
Adam? Sorry.
no, go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I'm just wondering then, like, what is the point?
That's my question. You stole me. You stole it from me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. If we're literally just rubber stamping things based on, well, our no SETI delivered it, so it's good. That kind of seems like using us and our reputations to validate.
Yep.
Without us actually verifying. So we're putting our names and reputations on the line for free as members of this committee because reasons. And this is the same criticism I raised with the TSC as well for this thing. If we don't have like veto power to say, no, you actually did not meet the criteria of what you said you were going to deliver, I'm not personally comfortable signing off on projects and using my name and reputation for their benefit because Intersect has millions of dollars worth of paid staff that they can just hire an administrator to rubber stamp delivery assurance, essentially. So
I'm just bringing on screen, although it's just very small. The notes I made yesterday, I think it was Mark that was saying that we need to distinguish the audit from delivery assurance. We would never be doing an audit, and then delivery assurance would be done by some other builder, and we would basically validate, for example, that the auditing, so we would help choose these other delivery assurance type of, or audit type of providers. So basically that's what we would do in this equation here. And we would help define good practices. We will also, someone touched on the point that as these proposals and the other, in total 39, progress, someone is going to have to build a dashboard where we can call the smart contracts, check where payments are and who has delivered what. But for now, it's really just sketches of what's going to happen. So yeah, let's keep people in the loop. Let's go to Tex and then Arnaud very quickly, and then I'm going to have to hop off. You can continue on this if you can share screen.
Yeah, apologies, and I know I'm just the secretary here, but as a secretary, I feel it's my responsibility and just recycling the thought process. There was no formal request from Intersect as an administrator to this committee to serve in this capacity. I'm not here to get into an argument with the other committees, but those committees are not the administrator. This is a responsibility of the administrator, as I'm hearing from you all. Until there's a formal request from them, I'm not seeing that there's something that we absolutely have to action. So obviously we can continue, we can do our part, but yes, I'm still holding out for that direct ask from the administrator, which has not taken place.
Okay. Arnaud?
So I am involved in treasury withdrawal request and management, as probably all of you know, in the Amaru project. I can tell you it's a fucking nightmare to really do all this stuff on chain. So I can't even imagine how this will be done on 39 projects in dashboard to provide visibility and smart contracts, because at the end of the day, I'm 100% sure that everyone will have their own smart contracts or ways of handling stuff. We have our own stuff. We are using some kind of modified.
We were all going to use something by Sunday Labs. That
yeah, we are using the same stuff, which is not still finished. But sure, but that's only one layer, because the Sunday stuff just contains the
it's just the on-chain.
And then the rest is okay. Now I signed a transaction saying I need to pay $50,000 or ADAs to this address. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to define it. That's the battle I'm fighting to make sure that.
So the point I'm making, like, if we have to do that as our, as OSC members, I mean, I can't imagine how this. Honestly, I think we are all kind of agreeing on the fact that we don't have the time, we don't have the mandate. It's not clear what needs to be done. So
for now, like I said, it's like just delivery assurance using third parties that are actually going to look at things. That's what we would do a bit more.
Yeah, but then selecting the third parties.
Yeah.
So we need to do that on which grounds? What are the criteria? What if the third parties don't deliver? What if Anastasia Labs go bust?
I'll make a note of what you're saying. I'll hop out and I'll be back. But I'll go back to what you just said and try to bring that to the discussion next week on ISC. We're going to be talking about this on Monday.
Yes.
See you in a bit. Cheers.
That said, I did my duty and filled in the column with my initials on what I think project assignment should be, but not sure what this is useful for really. But I did it.
Yeah. Well, that call got ignited because it's also highlighted what our committee's responsibilities. So I'm waiting to see what the outcome of that will be as well.
I personally would be more inclined to have a more a role where we get requests and we help others, and we kind of build proofs, build a track record of doing stuff with other projects, either funding or helping or auditing the open source maturity level, which I think is one of the next topic you wanted to discuss. But not really on the actual stuff. It seems to me like this is the slippery slope and not something I would like to do.
Yeah, we can govern like an open source best practice, but not like
exactly. Exactly. Say, okay, you are. I mean, you didn't. You don't have these files available. So this. I mean, I went to your repository and you don't have a README, or you don't have a contributing guidelines, or it's not clear what I should do when I want to contribute, or it's not really open source. That I can't think of doing I can definitely agree, but judging on the merits of project A versus B and assigning funds to these projects based on the technical merits is not something I would be ready to do. And I think Adam has a point on terms of also reputation. I think it's an important part of the both why we are here and what we can be useful for. I think I'm going to running in circles. So let's move on.
Well, the next topic was the project lifecycle maturity grading. So this ties back in the strategy from last year about us finally getting a rating for our projects. What I figured is I'll go through what the assessment or ideology was behind it, what the results came out to be, and then we can do an async review. I've already had Kevin Hammond and a few other people review the data to go with what, because we did do AI automated testing on these different categories, and it's only going to assess the certain aspects in that. And then we did a manual review of everything culminated. That way it could align with, because AI is not going to know the project purpose, etc. If it's a documentation library, it's not going to have technical criteria, etc. So what we did do is y'all have this report. I'll drop the link if it's not there already. This goes through what the executive summary, key findings, evaluation process, and then goes into the raw data. But the source doc is where you're going to find everything. So for the disclaimers, we did a documentation review, i.e. we only did a binary if there was this documentation there or not, and then the criteria of what was mandatory carried a heavier weight than what is optional according to our governance policy. Then we did a technical assessment, which was automated, which is what I'm trying to get validated, and then a brief health assessment just to make sure that things are active on the repos. And we aren't classifying anything quote unquote just yet as archive or decline. We do have some archive repositories, but for our open source public repositories, I didn't classify anything that is that yet, since we have to establish the baseline and then measure against it, and then do a return to green path for things that decline. But the cumulative total score you could get was 37. I put tentative ranges 1 to 10 incubation, 10 to 24 growth, and then mature is 24 to 37, just given kind of general scoring weights that came in. So documentation is pretty straightforward. These were mandatory. Each of these were 1 point, and then everything from there was a 0.5. And tallies, we just did manual, went to GitHub Insights and just validated these things were there. The technical assessment criteria basically covered these 18 categories. And then this is how the AI automated valuing or checking to see if it was there on the repo, and then it assigned 1 point out of those 18 categories. Go ahead, Arno.
On the overall grading side, do you have a criteria for so one thing that kind of struck me I glanced at the spreadsheet very quickly, and it seems like a repository like a Calendar node has a very high maturity level. But on the other hand, when I go to the Calendar node repository, I see that there are something like 286 issues opened and 49 pull requests open. And I wonder if we wouldn't want to have some kind of criteria in terms of issues curation or reactiveness or these kind of things. It seems to me like I wonder if this is something that you took into account in the.
Yeah, it's definitely something we need to address, because that was a topic from last year too, about how do we archive issues past a certain date, and then some projects were like they keep the issues open for the way that their project references things in the past. But I'm kind of like, if you have 280, I don't think someone's going to go through 280 reference points. So we do need to get a committee decision on like what that is, and then work with the teams to actually archive that. Or we could even host Solona Bonewall came up with an idea, which is like a clean up your code day, where we throw a little party, people come together, and we go through and.
I'm just suggesting that because this can also be a barrier of entry to people.
Yeah.
Contribution, like being overwhelmed by the amount of issues and PRs and the and also the reactiveness. I mean, and it has a kind of vicious cycle or negative feedback loop where more issues means like you are less reactive to when a new issue is raised because you pay less attention, and less attention means like, well, you more issues get buried into stuff, and yeah, I'm not sure this helps really. So maybe that's something we can potentially help. Yeah, a cleaning day would be good. Yeah, something that we can help with, because it can also be done, in a very brutal way. Just saying, hey, if it's been there for 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, well, and that's where I definitely want to get to that. Because when I did the initial analysis with IO, just airing some dirty laundry, some of the issue response times, based on my even just limited view, was like 274 days per issue.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. This kind of thing, like, wow, it's like, it's not something that would really you really want to. Anyway, okay. So thank you for the.
yeah, I think we can evaluate this. I tried to make it. I wanted this to at least touch every area, but not be too detailed, since we just
Yeah,
need to
sure.
establish something,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
need to try to come up with an automated, sustainable path for doing this every year. So I just did something basic with this, and then had AI run the tests. It took me 2 weeks to revalidate a lot of this data. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe that is a good working item for the OSC for a future work stream. Is that we kind of define these criteria, like what we expect, in the Cardano ecosystem for your time to first response for an issue or something. Because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Bitergia can get those stats for us, can't it?
Oh, even more detailed than that.
Right, where we could actually have that just be kind of cold and clinical, but hey, here's your grading. Like your average issue close from open to close is this long, and your average response time is this much. I mean, that's still going to need a human review kind of element, I believe, but maybe it's just a way to get started, or at least
Yeah.
raise a red flag if it goes over a certain threshold.
I think
Yeah.
the most important. I can perfectly imagine that in some circumstances it can take a while to get an issue, if only because you might have you usually have one or, I mean, at least two parties involved usually in some and both parties can be responsive, but at least what we would like to expect as an OSC overseeing the Cardano ecosystem, like the contributor, I mean, the maintainers should be reactive. So that's, I think, so measuring the reaction time, like, oh, and Mr. X or Mrs. Y, they file an issue. How long does it take for a maintainer to come back to them and say, oh, what do you mean? Okay, accept it, or whatever. Any kind of reaction, but at least what's the time to engage with with wannabe contributors or people doing people wanted to do something with the project. I think that's really the main. To me, that's, and then okay, fine. We can measure. I mean, measuring light time between an issue is flagged or raised and it gets into it gets merged. I think that's more. I would rather let that be a metric for each team. It can be really dependent, right? Depending on, especially on the state of the project or the criticality of the issue, the release cycle, all this. But yeah, at least being reactive when it comes to potential new contributions would probably be a first criterion.
Well, and
Yeah.
if we make it with the maintainers coming in with the possum model too, they can help spearhead some of this change as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would think, that the paid maintainer retainer, that's not necessarily the operating contractor that's doing most of the work. That maintainer should be the one triaging the issues, determining if they're high, low, medium priority, assigning who's going to be doing the work. And then that way we can hold, as the OSC, the people that we are paying, which is the maintainer retainers, responsible for doing their job. And yeah, like Arnaud said, it's going to depend per project. And so at least maybe we could give them a high level view. Hey, you have like 8 issues that are flagged high priority that are like more than 60 days old. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you not you said they were high priority, why are you not getting them fixed? Essentially, do you need money from the Code for Us program? Do we need to raise it on the roadmap issue? Like what needs to happen to solve these high priority issues, sort of thing?
And we can even this is just last 90 days focusing on core. Actually, no, this is multiple things. I can make it just on core.
Yeah.
So just so y'all know, we can rename these projects. So I'm calling cores just the 20 repositories under Intersect. But yeah, 271, 69 submitters, average day to close 22, only 36 signees. There's a disparity between these two, for sure. So, yeah, these are things we can focus on.
Yeah.
And we can do the same thing with PRs, etc. So Vitargia does enable stuff.
It's good that we have an overview.
And this one just kind of tagged a number of things in this too. API reference guides, release cadence, documentation, currency, and then how it checked it. And then we did change the health metrics. We just did there's your scoring method if there's partial or active. And it's just community engagement, leadership, ecosystem, activity, and sustainability, and quick scoring on that. So even though we do have, going back to the overall grading, although some of these projects may be listed as mature, their actual technical maturity may just be growth phase. They may have healthy interactions and they have mature documentation, but there is always room for improvement, at least on some of these. And then like Cardano Prelude, there is an argument already with one of the tweet guys that this should be a mature project, but they're low on their actual engagement because there's not an active maintainer per se for that project just yet. So yeah, you might be doing development stuff, but there's not necessarily a community and stuff like that. And if we need to change the description of the project, then we need to get it in here as the maintenance, etc. So the steps is just to get y'all's thoughts if there's overlapping assessment criteria, async, anything we need to consolidate. And then we did get output reports from the technical maturity side for each of these. So we'll send those back to the projects with their official rating and then work through discrepancies. If the AI missed something, then prove it to us that it's there. And then we can reflect score changes. But at least this kind of establishes a baseline. And most of, I think 49% come across mature. And Johnny Kelly already flagged something I got wrong, which is the only manual process I put in here I messed up where I put Plutus as a incubating project or something. So yeah. But that's this in a nutshell. Any more questions on that?
I kind of I have a question. So this is something I've already mentioned in the channel, but I'm not sure if this is something we want to act on. There is this developers.cardano.org webpage, which is maintained currently at the CF, which lists all kind of builder tools. I mean, I think the current page lists 107 builder tools, and I'm not sure. Cardano CLI is one of them. For example, there are quite a few Intersect projects over there. Would there be? I think it might be useful to kind of find a way to have that information somehow. This information is related or kind of linked, so that people can know. Yeah, I don't know exactly how this could happen, but I think given that this is a portal where people can, it's a good entry point into the ecosystem. Having a way to understand what's the maturity of the projects you're studying might be useful as a first glance. I'm not sure how you want to, or if there is any willingness to kind of join forces there, or.
From the open source office side, I definitely wanted to support the portal in ways that we can. Something I had tried to do too, to the same point, Arnaud, was the CNCF does like a landscape tool for their member base board.
Cool. Yeah.
So I wanted to do something similar for Intersect. So we have the repo. I just need to actually get this up and running. I don't know if there's a way to tie it in with developer too, either cross links or stuff. But I mean, it'll show you based on what you want, the maturity associated with companies that work on specific projects and where they are. And then we can mold these grouping categories how we want and the filters. So, and it's all YAML. So it's pretty straightforward.
I mean, maybe if it's all YAML, then maybe there might be a way to suck the data into the portals that people can either be referred back into something which would be either a more specialized dashboard. If you look at Builder Tools, the Builder Tools link. So the Builder Tools link.
Well, I just wanted to highlight that we're up on here in case anybody hadn't seen it.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
advocate program.
Sorry, yeah. But so the Builder Tools itself, it's also database. So it's also YAML or JSON, I don't remember, that you can pull in and from which the page is built. So potentially having a way to talking with, and like I think I already mentioned that there is somebody at the CF. We hired a developer, a DevRel person. So this person has started working on cleaning up all these projects and having a more, kind of brush up the dust. So maybe that's a good time to start discussing adding more flesh to each of these projects and providing some more high-level review.
Adam, then Lucas.
Yeah, so one thing that I know this came up when we first started looking at doing this dashboard is trying to avoid too much stepping on community toes, because I know there's like a Cardano Cube project as well that does similar, and I probably 2 or 3 others, knowing that this is Cardano, and we are very decentralized in terms of making the same project several times. But one of the more beneficial things that would probably be good in conjunction between CF and Intersect and these kind of like larger organizations, I think there's actually third-party tools that are monitoring across the entire crypto ecosystem to say like, oh, like, and that's how they go like, oh, look, here's how many Cardano developers are working versus Ethereum developers versus Polkadot developers and everything. And, like a lot of the projects probably don't even know that those dashboards exist. So the more we could expose, like Arnaud was saying, expose the data so that those downstream, Electric Capital, I think, is one of the big ones. If we can, as entities, expose the data to those outside entities, we can help get more outside attention rather than necessarily compete with some of our internal brethren in the trenches here with us already on and building on Cardano, essentially.
So on this developer portal that we were just looking at, CPIA is a Cardano Blockchain Infrastructure Alliance. It's something that we started 2 years ago when I was at Maestro. And we have this proposal funded. I dropped it on the chat. I can share my screen, but it's not relevant. It's not worth sharing my screen. But what we're proposing on this funded proposal is to connect to portrait the dependencies, so to document those in the data structure. And I can tell you that currently the data structure for the Builder Tools thing is just a JSON. It's really just a JSON file that's in there, the repo somewhere, and people are invited to update their data by submitting a PR. So I mentioned this to Arnaud. I think someone said that the whole dev portal thing is going to be reinvented, no?
Yeah, it's being worked upon as we speak. So it's something that the CF is working on. Exactly where it's going, I'm not 100% sure because I don't have I didn't follow exact. I don't have the details, but if I mean, okay, what I can do, I can put my make one action point for myself is to get more intel about what are the plans for the dev portal and report to the OSC so that we know exactly where this is going.
Yeah, I'll be checking in with them as well because we are currently working to build our thing on top of the current version of their thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'll clarify. So the landscape tool definitely was just going to be like the Intersect led thing, so members can portray themselves being a part of Intersect, etc. But I think we could tie in or broadcast that to the other tools, like you're talking about, Adam.
If we expose it, I think if we expose the data and we do our stuff as the OSC, providing a dashboard, an Intersect centric dashboard, but also expose the data so that others can use the data inside to provide maybe a broader view, like we all mentioned, either across blockchain or across the blockchain landscape or within Cardano or as third party, whatever. I think that's already great.
Yeah.
Focusing on data and then as Intersect, providing benefits to members. Say, hey, you're Intersect. Here are all the Intersect projects you might be interested in.
Yeah, because I don't want Intersect to be leading everything all the time.
No,
it's just
no.
here's a cool thing that you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, feel free to include me with any meetings with Bora or others.
Yeah, you're already
Yeah.
in touch with them, I guess. So yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, someone has to lead some initiatives. For example, this is one of those. And incubation, for example, it's an area that is spread all over the place. So maybe Intersect has to do some kind of leading work in some parts.
Adam?
Yeah, just something I was kind of thinking about real quick because Arnaud mentioned providing these services as a benefit to members as well. Like that could be something if dashboard essentially that, tell us about your open source projects or something. And that puts it into the radar to go into these, and I can update it once and Electric Capital gets updated and, the Cardano developer portal gets updated and whatever other platforms get updated. We figure out how to like automate that as a function of the OSC essentially, to bring that benefit to membership specifically, and then figure out how that can extend to the wider ecosystem, through the tooling working group and some of these other things that we have. But just a random idea that occurred to me, and I wanted to get it out there so it's in more brains than just mine.
I like the idea because too, if it's a public repo too, you can always push a PR to update anything you want, and it's just a matter of merging it. And I think ICT guy on our side already got an instance of the landscape tool up and running. We just got to get the configuration right now. So,
Because we need to push on, otherwise we're going to be here over time.
Yeah.
Next point is the update from Georg/Christian on the possum. I have the document open here. I can share my screen.
Yep.
Christian, do you want to talk to it a bit?
We got some detailed reviews, especially from Jörg. The decision point I wanted to make was I put everything in one doc, so it's just one place you review, hate, love, etc. in that. That way we can consolidate it. What I was wanting to propose is Jörg wanted to separate everything now into separate documents where you have the governance, maintainer, retainer, and then code for us. Whereas I'm kind of being like, maybe we can finalize this document and then since we have to evangelize the initiatives on the Gitbook page, that's when we could separate them into the distinct things, then publish it that way and get more smaller things. Because this is very detailed, because we tried to cover every possible situation that these major funding programs may run into. So that's the proposal I was putting up.
Okay.
And whether we just approve one doc or we
So
extract it into multiple right now.
the action is for people to review the document, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure this link gets dropped here. I think maybe it's exactly the same document that we already have there, no?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. So otherwise, I'll update it there. Anything else on this, Son?
No, that was it. Just
Yeah,
providing your feedback.
Yeah, so I'm just checking it's the same ID for the document. I'll make it red here because it's a bit like pressing. And if you could please review this. Yeah, actually the action was there already. It's a bit what I was talking, what I was saying in the beginning. If you ever have a bit of time that you can help, or when you do your weekly routines and have a bit of time to go over OSC things, have a look here. There's a request here for everyone to review this. Just hop on the document and drop notes wherever, or come to Discord with questions. Next on the line, on the agenda, we have rules of funding. Who can speak to this? Update, follow up on OSC rules of funding. I think that was Christian as well, no?
Yeah, I didn't know if Adam was going to be able to make it, but this is following up on those rules we discussed, Adam, if you want to provide some context.
Oh, there's a link here for Discord. Adam?
Yeah, so we had our first tooling working group meeting to try to kind of determine how that was going to operate and how we were going to try to get funds and identify areas, essentially, I guess, what the big concern that we had. And there was only, I think, 2 or 3 of us from the actual committee that were able to attend this meeting. So it certainly hasn't been thoroughly reviewed yet. But the idea was basically we have this 4 million ADA for tooling funding, and we don't want it to just make people that already have other funding sources slightly wealthier. We want to actually help and ensure that tooling that is critical and necessary to the ecosystem gets funding, valuable developers stay in the ecosystem. And so we were trying to kind of just draw some high level lines around kind of some rules and criteria for eligibility, so like what does this program look like? Are we targeting a certain minimum? So like you can only receive up to 10,000 ADA because we want to help 20 different projects. Can one project take all of the funding? Just some of those kind of thoughts and topics that we were trying to get some feedback on. And I know, you're had some and everything, but then I went on my holiday, so I just have barely gotten back. I haven't even I haven't even had a chance to open Discord yet and see if there's been any real progress on that front.
Okay, so overall, the action here is to review this as well and provide feedback. I'm not sure, is this related, your message and the one I was showing?
Yeah, the one below was Jurg's initial feedback
Okay.
based on these rules.
Got it, thanks.
That's
So
just like,
maybe we could move this to a document, to Google Doc, where we can all collaborate?
it's in the tooling working group charter currently at the very bottom. Let me I'll drop the link for you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we dropped it on my row as well to make sure people can. Oh, so you mean it's right there? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the very bottom of that, so we're dropping.
Okay, so
I'll
same
set up the
thing.
next cadence for this soon.
Okay, so same thing. I'll create an action here and ask for people to review, please. And that's it.
Yeah, and I think Elaine had a conflict with the previous time that we had set on the last one. So we probably want to try to be mindful of her being the only, well, I guess if she's leaving Japan, that might be less of an issue going forward, but.
She has to re-enter. Something about getting
like for a tourist or a visa thing. Yeah, gotcha.
So her peak hours seem to be anywhere between 10 p.m. to midnight, but I'll confirm that. Your time.
Okay, so I think this is great because when we come out of calls, I mean to delete all this and that's it, and all our actions are on here. So it's good that we keep that process going. I noticed Arnaud was removing himself from this one.
Yeah, because I mean the all, and I wasn't sure whether or not there was any kind of.
I think you spoke more on taking some lead on it and also handling the Git logs part things.
Yeah, but the problem that we didn't. There wasn't any other
action
meeting, so I wanted to. I didn't want to go on doing some stuff without having proper alignment with everyone. And
to be fair, you didn't miss the call. I just didn't schedule the follow-up. This was just when we were reviewing the charter for the group before we launched it. So.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure whether or not I missed something or there was I missed the follow-up or.
I'll put your name on everything for you then.
Okay, next we have Summer of Code text.
Yeah, so I've got some really exciting news for this. I was actually able to make a connection while here at the summit with a Stephanie Taylor from Google. She is the program lead and has been for nearly the last decade for the Summer of Code program. I was able to glean that they actually encourage other open source or other OSPOs to set up this this format, this program. I was given a step-by-step guide of things to include, and I also asked for her review. So we will have the ability to set meetings with her to review throughout the process as we establish our program. And as I would understand it, also be able to, also be able to get essentially endorsement on the program as before we take off. So.
Cool. Any thoughts? Christian is saying we also got Robin to confirm owning the work stream. I think that's what I could read from it.
That's
Yeah.
correct as well. Yeah. And then, sorry, I just wanted to add one thing to the previous topic. For anywhere where it applies, anytime that I've been asked about it, because there hasn't been another decision made, I have always referred to putting Intersect as the contract party. So OSC via Intersect, so that it follows the procurement process. So if that needs more explanation, we can circle back later, but just something I wanted to include there.
I just wanted to mention that we kind of I was looking for the repository, so there is actually, I can share with you a repository at the CF with some IDs that for the GSOC we applied for this year, and we didn't get approval for this year. I think the what was the, I don't remember exactly what's the process, but I remember the name, so that's why I reacted to what you were saying, Tex. But I think she was also in touch with Fabian for the on the CF side too. And we didn't get any. For some reason, they didn't. They didn't want to. They didn't accept the project for application. So.
Is it worth aligning with someone from Intersect as well, or from CF? I mean, maybe
aligning. I'm not sure, but at least getting some feedback or just making sure that we understand why it wasn't accepted, so that we don't repeat we don't try doing something that is doomed to fail.
Is it Fabian a nice person to?
Yeah, Fabian is the right person to align with. So if you. He was the one leading the thing. I proposed a couple of projects, I think, but so maybe interesting, maybe worth to talk to him at least to understand how this turned out.
Yeah, great stuff. Should someone take this action right now, or should we leave it just in the radar?
I have contact for Fabian as well.
Okay,
go ahead. Yeah, sure.
So this is. Sorry, let me just explain this again. I'm looking at treating this very similar to the Developer Advocate Program. Looking for your all's input, and you will own the budget portion of this. But without overstepping, I'm the program manager, so this is my responsibility. It's a program under OSO with OSC funding the program, and so you guys dictate what you're wanting out of it, but in terms of the actual direct management, because of the time level involved, that's my responsibility here.
Great stuff. Sebastian has had his hand up for a bit. I'm sorry, Sebastian.
Yeah, I don't know how long is the summer of this Summer of Codes, but I know a few Cardano projects in the ecosystem doing Summer of Codes events in this moment. They are planning to do it and starting to do it in the next days, virtually, also in person. So I don't know if this initiative can evolve in best practices and in fact, those projects are Intersect members. So I don't know if this initiative can evolve at the end in best practices or something like that that connect the several summer of codes efforts in the ecosystem, because there are several projects doing the same thing independently, of course, and fragment in a fragmented way.
So it's just my thoughts. I was looking at paring the program down to a single week, and focusing on the on-site benefits of a program like this. So there's a lot of programs that are doing this virtually, and that gets really, really long-winded. And part of it's a little bit of a fear that we might run into a situation where we need to spend the budget faster. But also, I feel like we'll get a little bit more out of having people on site. So, you know, there's a couple of versions in my head where it's as little as 3 days or as much as an entire week. But there would essentially be two separate versions of this: one that is Africa APAC, and then another one that is, you know, either US or UK based. But this is going to include, like, there's some things in that document that really expand the program and the costs included. So we're talking, we need project maintainers. I would absolutely imagine that we would have additional OSC support, at least one or two of you present during one or both conferences, depending on how that breaks out. So there's travel considerations and things of that nature as well. But yeah, my thought was just, it's designed as, I think the initial was a 6-week program. When I talked to somebody, they said they were 3 to 7 months, and I was like, yeah, I'm not 3 to 7 days. So ideally, I'd love for this to be a crash course. I'd love to include Bernard, because he's pretty tight on some projects, and that's some things that we could probably get out quickly as far as learning and growing. But basically, I'll move on to building this Summer of Code program. So I'm going to call it CSOC for now, unless we come up with a different name. So Cardano Summer of Code, after we finish the Developer Advocate program, because that'll get up and that'll just flow.
Sounds good
Ideally.
to me. So any thoughts? Okay.
Of other things.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, next on the agenda, we have operations and, project management. Overall, I just wanted to catch up. We are trying to assign some tasks. Overall, they're mostly all tasks for everyone. The follow-up on actions can happen a bit when we come back to this board asynchronously or on the beginning of our fortnightly calls. I also have this space here where you can sort of declare by copying this a bit what you've been doing. Just create a snipping there for yourselves. If you want to show us asynchronously what you've been working on, and overall, I don't know. I'm keeping the attendance. I think that's already on track, and it's interesting to see. For example, we have Emmanuel here today. He was applying for a seat in the OSC, and I'm not sure how far away he got from getting it. And so it's something that, like Christian was saying on chat, if we continue to have some members not attending and some other members coming in, we need to reconsider things. Christian?
Yeah, another thing is if it ever came up to a point where it's just complete absence from members, the proper process is that you'd raise a vote of no confidence, and then that would go to ISC and the board to ratify, and then you would then have either person voluntarily steps down and or they make the time commitments, etc. Then you'd go to this escalation point where you do that vote of no confidence, and then you could look back at the election results and find candidates to potentially fill that way, since that vote had already taken place. Just confirm with them. So that's one way of doing it. Or
Yeah, thanks. Tex?
Yeah, there's not a formal prescribed process for this as of yet. It is something that is a topic of consideration, if I understand, for the Intersect Governance Working Group. If I'm wrong in stating that, then I will make sure that it's added to the list, but they've been focusing on future elections. So it has not been, that group has not been encompassing of a lot of other things quite yet, but they will be. Basically, there are some quick things for us to white label and document as official. One of those options also includes as little as 8 weeks with no participation, that somebody is simply removed from the committee. And essentially we can go down to, I believe it's a minimum of 7. So I'm not suggesting that we lose anybody, but if we did lose 2, we'd still be operating and functioning with the remaining body without having to refill.
Arnaud? Oh, sorry. Yeah, so what you were saying on the chat, sorry. With the attendance is getting published on the Git book by text on the minutes every time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to create this different format that I'm maintaining personally. But yeah, overall, it is sort of already happening. So I don't think it would change much if we start public shaming or something.
No,
It's more
that's
of an
fine.
internal thing, right?
Yeah, just maybe mentioning it more, a
Mhm.
bit more, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking more like, like your MPs voting, or your MPs attendance, that are some kind of website or data that is provided by various websites in every country where you have when you have a parliament, and you can know what your MP voted for, where what they attended, which vote they attended, which they didn't, and so on. Eventually,
if we could publish this kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's what I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
having the data and again
Yeah.
sharing it would be
Okay.
probably. That's what I meant more.
In
Because I think
true
it's more
on-chain
digestible.
fashion, let's just create a JSON standard and publish it in transaction metadata once every 2 weeks. It's one transaction.
Don't get me started on this, Adam.
Yeah, okay, guys.
No,
Let's move
that's
on.
why I knew Arnaud's like, let's just do everything on chain. Let's make some transactions happen. So there you go. Like this.
About
this
the
could be
builder
done.
details, the builder tools details, I was going to go there and say we should persist instead of a JSON in a repo, make them on-chain metadata. I didn't say that. Okay, bug bounty tooling. I think Christian wants to share something about this.
Yeah, we had 2 options. Talking with Security Council, I found one project that's open source from the Linux Foundation called GeroBug. I'll put that in the Discord, and then it's a platform there, so we can tailor it, set up our own use case, and manage bug bounties that way. Or the CF also uses Illuminify, and we could follow that cadence. That way, there's kind of one standard. I don't know y'all's experience with it. Giorgio wasn't very familiar with it just yet, but he said that's what CF has currently set up.
Yeah,
So-
we are using. I was involved a bit into the what's the name of the platform? I don't remember
Illuminify.
exactly.
Someone
Say it again.
Illuminify, I think is what it
Ah,
is.
yeah, this one. Yeah.
But I'll share the 2, and then y'all just let me know it's there. But the framework itself, I think, is mostly finalized. I just need OSC figures as to what we want the range spend to be. And we do have a caveat that we can pay out as much as we need to if it was like the world would have ended on Cardano and this person helped us catch it. So
We
Not
didn't
that I
have
like
much.
typing.
Just saying that we didn't have much success so far with these programs. So
okay.
I don't know why exactly. I was involved mostly with the calendar node and the wallet programs, and nothing really. I mean,
Well, I'm hoping we can get some stuff because, like, I think everyone's in agreement. Mike Hornin's like on the backlog to be the first person to pay out, given the governance thing. So we at least having a process for that where you can highlight
no,
this stuff.
we need it. We need it.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying we don't need one. I'm just saying that it's. But yeah, I think it's. Yeah, we need something.
Is it worth
Well, you
making a
can
note?
file that as a bug and submit it. So
Yeah.
Is it worth making a note to are you serious about the mic being a backlog? Are we still gonna do some retroactive thing on there, or?
I think it was agreed on that on a previous call that he's
Okay.
the only backlog person right now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I'll make a note then. Tex?
Yes, if you are available and or would like to participate in the interviews with the developer advocates, please send me an email with your availability for early July.
Sorry, available to?
For the developers
Interview
advocate.
developer advocates.
Yeah. I'll be
So
in touch.
just send me an email with your availability. For an email that way I have it all in one place. If it has to be via DM, that we can work that out, but email would be better because that's where I'm going to schedule everything. So
Okay. Guys, anything else for today? I think we're a bit over time already. There's this education resources that Christian created. I'm going to, like I said, the goal is that we remove everything that we had on the board for today. So I'm going to bring this link down to the project sections where it's relevant. And I invite you to have a look asynchronously. But
Yeah.
it's quite extensive. I like the title. And yeah.
It needs some validation because it was just quick resources thrown together, and stuff. But we do have I forget the professor's name from Nottingham for functional and advanced functional that we're able to put in there too for Haskell. So if you all have any more resources, by all means, feel
Yeah.
free to contribute.
Do you want to point at the specific section side of our budget where I could drop that link?
Kind of ties into maintainer, retainer, developer advocates. I mean, it's
Okay.
education resources
Yeah,
to enable.
okay. Thank you. I'll do that. Any other topics for today? As you see there, I've started creating this kind of structure from top to bottom, where firstly, we look at updates needed on projects or size of our overall budget lines, then catch up on miscellaneous topics. Here, we ideally would get to an open forum, but we've done a bit of that throughout the discussion, so that's all we have to do for today.
I have a very selfish question. I kind of fill the form for this open source conference end of which takes place. I don't remember where. I think it's Amsterdam or somewhere. Yeah, end of August. I'm not sure what's the process here to get I don't remember exactly. I think I filled the form, and yeah, I'm not sure I got some feedback. So
I'm not sure if we have someone on this topic. Do we have someone that knows what Arno is going to do?
Was it what Tex gave you, Arno?
Yes.
Okay, let me follow up with him because it goes into our Intersect backend thing that I got to get ICT to help us navigate. Tex is the only other person.
I'm fine bringing that up in the next meeting. If, I mean, I can also do a ClickUp task if that helps or whatever. That's
No, I'll follow up on it.
okay.
No
Good. There is a question and there is a meta question.
Yeah,
the question is about participating and whether or not that makes sense, and then the meta question is about the process itself, whether or not we are what we can say to people if we can fund or if we. I think that's part of the funding model you're mentioning, and the developers advocate roles. So interesting to understand how to process this kind of request. Good. Yeah. Thank you for following up. If you can, Christian, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll get you feedback.
Guys, see you next week if you can make it on like this time slot, optionally. Otherwise, let's keep in touch. There's also a developer advocates time slot on Monday, I think. If you can make it, it's also a work session, or asynchronously just drop by the board and follow up on all actions that we have. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.